Thanks, Nora. And thank you, Mike. So hello, everyone. So excited to talk to you a little bit about Dream Charter Schools Journey with AI. All right. So just a little bit, first of all, about who Dream is. So we are just like KIP, a network of public charter schools in New York City, mostly in East Harlem and the South Bronx. But we did not start that way. We actually began 35 years ago as a sports-based youth development organization, a Little League, as Harlem RBI. But eventually realized that our students deeply needed support beyond that Little League. That helped us grow into a network of extended day and extended year schools. And now we are a network that supports our students all the way from age 4 to 24 in giving them the skills and knowledge to prepare them for college, career, and beyond. And so Dream currently supports 7 schools with nearly 4,000 young people, serving students in pre-K through 12th grade, and another 1,000 of our what we call legends, our alumni in college career. And we support about 500 staff currently, the vast majority of whom are teachers. And that's who we're going to focus on mostly today is our teaching staff, because we know that there is no harder job than being a teacher. And in particular, when you have to grade and score and give students feedback of the highest quality, that is a huge challenge. And AI has really transformed the way that our teachers practice giving feedback to our students. So I'm excited to share our journey with that today. To ground us, I want to talk a little bit about how we began our journey with AI and why Dream fundamentally believes that investing in AI is critical for equity. And it comes down to our belief that by the time our current ninth graders graduate from college, more than half of the jobs in this country will require AI competencies more than half the time. And in order to get our students to not only be extremely strong users, but also builders of AI, we knew that we had to start with our staff and make sure that they were critically strong users of AI themselves. So, Mike, if you'll go to the next slide. Um, we started out a couple of years ago trying to figure out how do we solve the greatest problem that teachers face, which is dealing with the volume of student work that they have to get through on a daily, weekly, and annual basis. And we know that for so many of our teachers, this either burns them out or it takes an enormous amount of time, and they're not able to produce the highest quality feedback to get their students stronger. And so a couple of years ago, we started building our own tools to help our teachers score and provide feedback on student work. And I'll be very honest, this was a big failure. And the reason it was a big failure was because we tried to roll out centrally. We did not anticipate the number of skill gaps and investment gaps that our teachers had around using AI to score student work. And so one day, during our second interim assessment round, we got every teacher in our network to start scoring with AI for all of our constructive responses across ELA and math. And midway through that session on a Friday afternoon, we hit a data limit. And we had to send all of our teachers network-wide home. And this taught us that AI has its strengths, but like any big change initiative, can also have tremendous weaknesses. And so that experience taught us that we need to really focus first on investing our teachers in the why. Why is AI so helpful? And how do we still keep humans in the loop and at the center of the work? So that AI is amplifying what the teachers know and can do, but does not replace the work that a teacher does. And so, some key lessons, I think, as you are engaging in this work to bring AI at scale to help you personally or your school engage in more feedback for your students. A few pitfalls to avoid would be to build any tools in silos. Think about how you are really investing in tools that can work at scale. Think about what the basic tech skill proficiency of you and the various teachers in your schools are. We did not consider how rolling out widely without small groups would really impact our teaching force. And so we have really invested more recently in trying to find early adopters who can then scale, work out the kinks, and then we can scale up. We made sure that we had a plan B. And first and foremost, we did not, at the beginning of this, think about the mindsets of our teachers and how adjusting to any new technology is such a big change. And so we really focused on framing imperfections up front. How do we ensure that our teachers know that AI is not perfect, that you have to prompt very specifically, as Mike said at the beginning, train it effectively, and then evaluate its output to make sure that it aligns to your bar of excellence and what you want for your students. And as I said before, making sure the humans are still at the center, which is why a tool like Enlighten has been so helpful to us, because it still requires you to train AI based on your bar of excellence, and then amplify that work at scale for all of your kids. And so, first off, we really invested in those adaptive mindsets, as I named. And so, one of the big mindsets that we have worked on with our teachers is to make sure that as you are scoring, know that the feedback is not going to be perfect that first time, and that training and training again until you get to that bar of excellence is absolutely essential. And so, we've used every failed attempt as a learning opportunity. We've emphasized the value of the process over the product of the feedback. We've really also gotten very imaginative about how AI can move a task forward or improve a product, even when the result is not perfect. And so from that failure originally and the new work that we've done, we've now spent the last 2 years figuring out how we can scale up this work for all student writing, not just in ELA, in reading and writing, but also in math and science and in social studies. And so at scale, Mike, if you can go to the next slide, you can see that we have now built AI into our entire assessment and data cycle. And it starts with using Enlighten. As soon as we deliver an interim assessment to our students, they all type out their responses on the computer. We then use Enlighten to score those responses and provide individualized feedback to each and every one of our students on each of their constructive responses on all of their assessments. We share that not only with our students, but also with their families so they can become stronger writers and understand where they need to improve based on a rubric. We then utilize a suite of tools based off of Enlighten to then analyze that data and then provide really strong reteach lessons to our teachers to address some of the gaps we see in our students' writing. And what that has allowed us to do is speed up this entire cycle of assessment and data so that we are responding to student gaps quicker, we are helping them improve faster, and we are taking enormous amounts of time and giving that back to our teachers so that they can continue to do this work sustainably over year after year. And so that's one example of a larger AI strategy that has really been founded by 4 basic principles. First is that we have spent a lot of time ensuring that all of our staff have access to AI tools. Second, we've made sure to be really clear with our staff and with our students on how we are using AI. We have an AI forward mindset, but we've also trained our folks, both our staff and our students, to know that AI is not perfect and that it is critically important to evaluate that output. Third, we've really focused on innovating from the bottom up. So a lot of our teachers have started using Enlighten, not just for summative assessment, but for more formative assessment on a daily basis to increase the amount of feedback that our students are getting. And lastly, we are in a cycle of continuous improvement. As you heard from that very first failure that we encountered, we have continued to monitor, iterate, and refine our practices so that more of our teachers are using AI tools to give our students feedback and to improve that at scale. And so when we take a look at some of the big results from this initial use case of scoring and providing feedback on all of our student assessment writing, we actually have seen over the last year that cumulatively across all of our teachers, we've saved 10,000 hours of teacher scoring and feedback time over the last year. That's about 50 hours per teacher per year. And that has increased our teacher retention at our schools by 4 percentage points year over year, and also increased student achievement. We saw growth last year when we just isolated for the impact that this work with AI in our assessment and data cycle has had. And when we think about the impact on staff and going back to that initial vision of trying to support our students in becoming critical users of AI themselves, we knew that we had to get our staff to be really strong and critical users of AI. And we've seen growth in that. So when we look at the past year, we've seen now 86% of our staff agree or strongly agree that AI has helped them become more efficient and productive in their work, which was a huge increase of about 30 points from the fall. We have also seen that our staff are reporting much stronger technical competence when using AI. And while it's still not as high as we want it, we've seen a dramatic increase of, again, 30% of students feeling strong technical competence. And also a huge decrease down to only 1% of teachers who feel as though they have no competence whatsoever in using AI. We've also seen that more than a third of our staff have increased their productivity by more than 20%, and that 80% of our staff have increased their productivity by 10% or more.